Good evening. Welcome to Soni Irabor Live. Well, tonight I'm going to dig into history because a lot of things have happened with the black world over the years. But when we look at the black world, we're actually looking at the dark continent called Africa. They say it's dark, but I know it's a lot more like it's a tropical and well-enabled Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, which is, I don't know how you look at it, but we are right in the middle of the equator. So Africa is the largest continent on Earth, but it also comprises the largest home or base for the black world. And the population is about 1.4 billion or thereabouts. But that's not what I am after. What I'm after is taking us back in time to 1966, when Leopold Senghor started Festac. And then 11 years after that, 1977, General Olusegun Obasanjo, that's what he was then, triggered one of the biggest, Black and African Festival of Arts and Culture. It was called Festac. In fact, that's how the name came about. And it was well celebrated, was hugely, globally celebrated, but nothing happened thereafter. 50 years or 45 years later, a young man woke up and said, why don't I just bring this back? That young man has been everywhere. He's done a lot of corporate things. He's also an engineer by profession, Yinka Abiyoye. Engineer Yinka Abiyoye. And he decided to take the bull by the horn. And that's where we want to discuss with him first before we go back in time again. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Engineer Yinka Abiyoye. We didn't concern you with Festac.
Well, thank you for the intro. And I like how you start with the Africa being the continent that's what it is. Yes, I started as an engineer. I grew up in Ibadan, Nigeria, of course. And actually, when I was growing up, my dream was to design a car because I was tired of traffic. And I said, one day I will come up, I will design a car. And then when there's traffic, the car will take off, will lift off, and it will take off and land and continue where it's going.
A flying car.
A flying car.
Okay.
And I can tell you today there's a flying car.
Yeah.
So, but I was not the one that...
It shows how the human mind works.
And I was not the one that discovered it. But when I was in the school, focusing on actually that dream, back so many years ago, almost 40 years plus ago in the US, I took a lot of chemistry classes. So I had so much chemistry credit, and I became so good in chemistry that I got lost in chemistry. So I ended up being a chemical engineer, and I did. Okay. After that, I worked in pharmaceuticals, designed a lot of interventional solutions. And after that, went into oil and gas, and was able to do almost three decades in one of the biggest oil and gas companies in the world.
Wow. So you carried that heavy weight, and then you abandoned that and went into, how did you get involved in Festac?
I wouldn't say I abandoned the engineering.
Yes.
In life, you have desires, you have dreams. And as you go and things happen and things touches your life, changes do happen. In my sojourn in the US, you follow the Malcolm X, the Martin Luther Kings, even as recent as our late Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Jesse Jackson.
And the things that people were doing in trying to impact the people around them. Yes, I was able to do some stuff in interventional solutions. I did more in interventions, actually, impactful stuff in pharmacology than I did even in oil and gas. Because oil and gas was more just repeating what's done in the refinery or what's done in marketing and other stuff. But as I was going on, what was always a passion for me is how do I impact Africa as a continent? how do I come back home with what I've learned, being away? And more than anything else, one thing that always on my mind in my early 20s was a lot of Africans would go abroad. They would do extremely well in classroom. They are the number one, number two, number three in the classroom. But then when we come back home, we cannot implement the things we've learned outside. So that has always been in the back of my mind, that how can I come back home and help actualize those things for a better continent?
So making your dream come true.
Correct.
Was something of a practical experience for you, but you didn't know how to carry the people along with you. That's a challenge, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So, okay. Now, in carrying Africans along, but don't you see how Africa is? Africa has always dreamt of being bigger than what it is today.
Well, which is okay. We just have to actualize what we do.
But we did not actualize it.
Well, that's where we are today. Our children today are leading in all facets of stuff in the world, which means that in terms of brain power, we have it.
Yeah.
So execution is where the problem has always been in.
Is it a deliberate thing on the part of those who colonized us? I'm fast-tracking this kind of conversation now.
It's okay. It's
because
okay.
It looks like they made sure that we did not think ahead.
But we can't blame them forever.
Of course.
We cannot blame them forever.
Yeah.
In the late 50s, early 60s, our fathers and mothers got together and said, how do we decolonize the mind of an African? And they dreamt and said the best thing to do is to use a platform of art and culture to bring us together. As you know, I was watching something a few days ago about how Gambia was made inside Senegal.
Yes.
Which is because one country wanted the waterways, and they were riding on the waterways and shooting cannon on both sides. So it's where the cannon landed that formed Gambia inside Senegal.
Ooh.
The division that we see in Africa today, in the 1884 or so,
yes, scramble.
Some people just sat down, 12, 15 people in a room. I want that, I want that, I want that. Unfortunately, when they were drawing those lines, they didn't care about the tribes. They could have drawn it around the tribes. The lines were drawn in the middle of the tribe. So when you go to, let me just use Nigeria as an example. You see the Yorubas on the side of the
Cameroon.
Yes, you just on this side, and then you see the Yorubas on this other side. You go to Cameroon, you see the people on this side and the other side. Their local languages are the same.
Yeah, but the
business language is now different. So that even
I like that you said the business language.
The business language, even that language kills the local language.
Naturally.
Because it changes even the pronunciation, the meaning of local language on those two sides. So, yeah, the continent has been divided back then, but we are where we are today. We can't use it as an excuse any longer. We need to look at where we need to go forward.
Before you go further, when you say we can't use that as an excuse,
yes,
I will disagree with you, because I think our children, we didn't hand over to our children what they should look forward to, or look up to, or look out for.
So that's where Festac comes as a very powerful tool.
Okay.
66 happened when they did the first Festac. And Leopold Sédar Senghor was the leader of Senegal at that time.
Yeah.
And they did something called negritude.
Yes, he even did a book on it, I think.
Negritude.
Yeah.
So festival was done. It was bringing in our people from all over the world. Mm-hmm. Festival was successful. Nigeria was to be next. And then we have our unfortunate civil war.
Civil war.
And our civil war delayed what needed to happen.
By more than 3 years.
Yes. And then the Nigerian government back then, under the auspice of Muritala Muhammad and Olusegun Obasanjo, Baba Segun Obasanjo, decided to say, let's bring this thing up in 1975. And they had their own mishap in 1975.
I think that was when Gowon was removed.
Yes. No. I'm talking about Muritala's coup d'etat. The coup d'etat in
Yes.
75.
Yes.
So
That was when Gowon was removed
yes,
as head of state.
But I'm talking about the fact that they could have actually set the program at that time.
Okay.
But they were not able to do it until 1977.
Okay.
Now, I was alive in 1966, but I didn't know what I was doing. So I just read about 66. But I saw 1977. I was a teenager that saw a lot of pride in my people.
Yes.
If you remember very well, actually back then we all had the fro, right?
I had
You
Afro.
probably had a fro too.
I had Afro.
And that was when I'm Black and Proud was riding very hard.
Yes.
And that pride,
Again, James Brown's I'm Black and Proud, which came in 1966,
yes,
had metamorphosed into the
froze.
Yes.
Okay, so it was even more on
So a Black consciousness
the
became
consciousness.
Yes.
That's the word. Thank you
Yes.
very much. So thankfully, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo did a fantastic job
yes.
in hosting 1977.
It was so great.
1977 saw over 16,000 artists on stage in that 1 month
Ooh.
from almost 60-something countries all over the world at a time when Africa didn't even have 50 countries, which meant there are other non-African...
Black world.
Thank you
Yes.
very much.
Yes.
And of course, over 100,000 people gathering together. Could you imagine if, since that 1977, we were riding that euphoria until today, 50 years later, where we would have been as people? And then after 1977 happened, I believe the next one was supposed to be Ethiopia, but the Ethiopia had its own issues back then with Eritrea. Now, 60s, 70s, we had other issues on the continent. The coups, the changing of our leaders.
It was flowing from one
It
place
was
to
one
another.
side to the other.
Yes.
So we were distracted. And unfortunately, those things that happened affect the Festac festival, that it was actually dormant for 45 years.
It was so dormant, it was loud.
Very loud.
So, is that what now triggered your interest?
Well, good point. So I was, in the US, say, I want to go back home. I want to bring back, I could be an engineer, blah, 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 all this stuff. But I kept telling myself, yeah, you could design a car, you could design this, you can design that, but you'll be affecting the minute side of the continent. Awareness is what is more needed. And I felt that Festac becomes a powerful tool to bring all of us together, especially after coming in to Africa to work for my company. I was fortunate to work around maybe 85% of the continent. I was managing different businesses around Africa, up,
Can
north,
I
south.
just slow you down there? Because we need to take a short break. And when we get back, we'll go back to the history you just given up by your past and the company you worked for. It's very important. But we'll be right back after the break. So welcome back. We're on to Engineer Yinka Abioye. Engineer has been an engineer of all sorts, and I mean it with every respect and imagination. This is a man who can design a car. He dreamt of even designing a flying car, and yet he ended up with something else. But let's go back to your history, your work history.
Yeah, so in the, I would say just the late 90s, around 1998, I was made the director of training and development for Africa and Middle East for my company.
Ooh.
And so I was seeing all the countries, overseeing all the countries between Cape Town and Dubai for people development. In another 4 years after then, I was what they call the retail business manager for West Africa. So I had every country between Equatorial Guinea and Mauritania reporting to me, except Nigeria. So I was fortunate to have been to most villages in that geography. For another 2 years or so, I was the managing director of my company in Senegal. So that gave me the chance to speak some bad French and learn a few languages, but more of cultural awareness of the continent. From all those runarounds, it was more coming to me and saying, you know what can you do from what you see as what is lacking on the continent that you can effect? What I saw that was lacking on the continent is togetherness.
It's still lacking.
It's still lacking.
Very unfortunate.
It's still lacking. So, but that lack of togetherness is coming from the language barriers between us, the myth. I mean, we look at the air flights that come into our countries today. They are over 50% non-Africans. However, between us, we have our own prejudice. That guy is Senegalese, he shouldn't talk to a Malian. That person is Ugandan, he shouldn't talk to Kenyan. We still have all of that. So for the continent to move forward, I felt that what we needed to do is to resurrect a platform that's supposed to bring us together, especially now that AU has brought in even the sixth continent, or the sixth region, which is also a powerful tool to make sure we extend ourselves.
Can you share that sixth region with us?
That's the diaspora.
Okay.
The Caribbean, the Americas, right, where all our people are. So if we put all that energy together, you can feel like that we are a big force. And there's no better platform to bring everybody together than
Which is what Festac 77
was meant to be,
triggered.
And 66 was meant. Yes. And that was the whole idea of bringing Festac together and bringing it back. So for years, I struggled within myself. How do you bring this thing back? How do you start? How do you start? And you keep going back within it. But I think the boldness came from COVID in 2020. Unfortunately, we lost a lot of people.
Oh, yes.
But with COVID, one of the things that triggered and gave me the courage more was the fact that we had the protocols that were designed by the Africans. We had the indigenous medicines that our parents had given us, the bark of the tree, the roots of the tree, the leaves.
The dongoyaros.
The dongoyaros. But
bones.
somebody told us those things were not good. And we, in some cases, accepted that they were not good.
Unfortunately.
In cases where we didn't accept, they actually worked for us. So that kind of let me realize, this is how we are deflated. This is how we are demeaned to not even believe in ourselves. And that was when the drive just came that, 2020, we're all stuck in the house for a whole year. Everybody was supposed to have died. I didn't die.
Many did not die.
Many did not die, especially on our continent.
Yes.
So if I didn't die, then I can do something bold and audacious. That was what brought the whole idea of coming together and doing Festac. I reached out to some of my partners and I said, let's bring Festac back. They're like, are you crazy? I said, yeah, I know, but we got to do it. Because this is the time that Africa is supposed to have crumbled more than every other continent, and we did it. So let's leapfrog.
And you didn't get the blessings of governments,
African
governments.
I'll tell you what we did. May he so rest in peace, Mr. Olu John.
Okay.
John was I think is the DG or the MD of ECOSOC in Nigeria. And I like to plug two other people that really helped. Honorable Kennedy Adu was working with ECOSOC at that time. And Dr. Prof. Jalili Ojo Ade, who is now actually the VC for Ojaja university. Those are some of the people I gathered back in the days. So the first thing we did was we wrote to AU ECOSOC. You remember Festac? Oh yeah, Festac, we want to bring it back. Really? Yes, we do. But you know, we support you, we love you, but you have to go on your own for a while. It's okay. We just want you to know that this thing is going to come back. We also went to Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. Baba, this thing needs to come back. Mm-hmm. And I remember Baba saying to me, my son, do you think you can handle this thing? I said, well, yeah, maybe I can, but we got to do it. Because I had traveled the continent so much at that time that in terms of corporate, I was the guy leading a lot of organizations with non-Africans behind it, but I was still an African, which had its own problems. So I realized that there's no better way for us to move forward than coming together. So I had the big conviction, without a doubt. And a lot of companies came up, can you afford it? Well, if we say we can't afford it, we've already lost 45 years.
Yeah.
It's not about can afford or cannot afford. You have to start from somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, if you have, and this was me verbatim to Chief Obasanjo, I said, Baba, if we have money, we'll do it big. If we don't have money, we'll do it small. But we're doing it. Because good things start like that. Mm-hmm. Eventually, people will move up with you on that. Also traveling on the continent, I was also not happy with the dismal intra-Africa trade percentage. And that also comes from the lack of regional integration and lack of tourism. Especially, as you can see, post-COVID, when the Africans could no longer get visa to go out of Africa, tourism within the continent increased because we started to travel between our own continent.
Yeah.
And so tourism gained from there.
Yeah, but I have a question on that, really.
Yes.
Yes, it gained, but the traction was not up to 40%, maybe even 30%.
Yeah, but don't forget also, it was also the time where I'm not supposed to be closer than 6 feet to you.
Okay, fine.
So
that's been 6 years now.
No, but yes.
And you did it. You must have started about a year or two after the COVID.
So we started COVID was in 2000, 2020.
Yeah.
We started in 2022.
2 years, yeah.
2 years after.
All right.
Because we started the planning work in 2021, and we did it in May 2022.
Which was the first country?
Zanzibar, the island of Zanzibar.
Tanzania.
Zanzibar, Tanzania.
Okay. Right, that's
So we did Zanzibar. After Zanzibar, we did Arusha, also in Tanzania. Because what we wanted to do is to go somewhere and incubate.
Okay, so the Tanganyika-Zanzibar connection.
And we did one on the island and one on the mainland.
Okay.
But the idea was to actually go there and sit there for 3 years to incubate and make all our mistakes and all that kind of stuff. But in 1 or 2 years, we understood what we were doing. We saw what we needed to do to improve. And we saw what is actually needed and what the platform was supposed to have done. 66 and 77, there was a lot of focus on arts and culture.
Yeah.
And maybe because there were not other things overlaid on arts and culture, might be the reason why it was not sustained for 45 years. So what we said was, okay, arts and culture is a given, but there are other parameters in our lives.
Our fabrics.
That need to be brought up.
Our dressing or fashion.
Our fashion, our food.
Our food.
The trade.
Yes.
Technology, tourism, women empowerment, because the women are more than 50% of our population,
right.
And we are not utilizing that very well.
We're not.
Our youth, because even if you look in 77, the youth that came to 77 came as spectators. So that's why a lot of them don't even know what happened. Most 50-year-olds in Nigeria today don't even know. Festac to them is a community. Festac to them is a bus station or a police station. So how do you put all those things together to make people do what's right? So we even threw in health, we threw in sports, and we, more than anything else, did disability inclusion. So make sure we capture everybody.
Well, from what you're saying, I can see there's a void. African leaders ought to take advantage of what you've said to the extent that you say, okay, listen, how can we bring back our essence as Africans? Because look at the natural resources now. See how the West and even the East are taking advantage of our natural resources. We're still raw material enabled, and yet we can do all of these things by ourselves and then begin to sell it to the world. So Festac is a huge business profile.
Thank you. And it's even more, first of all, is consciousness.
Yes.
Because you need to be conscious of who you are and what you are and what you have to be able to ask for.
How do we achieve that consciousness?
Well, by regional integration.
Okay.
So there are certain countries that have advanced on so many things. So there are some countries that are good in mining. There are some that are good in agriculture. They are good in the environment. So if you do heavy and intentional regional integration, you would do best practice sharing of those things across the
But how can you do integration when there's no trust, basic trust?
And that's where Festac comes in. So I spent, I don't know, 30-something, 40 years of corporate life with a tie and PowerPoint and making presentations. And I went to conferences, exhibitions. And after you have your discussions, you take your business card, you throw it somewhere when you get back home, and that thing is lost. Festac, it's art and culture. You cannot condemn my art, you can't condemn my culture because it's me.
Yes.
So when you and I meet on a platform called Festac, we become friends first. And then the relationship goes a longer way, and then we can trade.
I mean, you are encouraging me so much so that at the same time, I'm drawing back from that encouragement and telling myself, we still don't trust one another. We cannot even go to the next country. You know, we don't even, the tourism you talked about, that you said after COVID had improved. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure.
It did.
Yeah, I know, but we did not leverage on it.
Well, that's another thing. So it did increase because when people that want to travel, those are the places they could go.
Yeah.
But we didn't leverage on it as a continent.
Yeah.
And we're not leveraging on a lot of things. It's not only even tourism.
Yeah.
Even our mining. I mean, how many countries today has really sat down and take a real inventory of their underground assets and use it to leverage their currencies or their economy? So we have a lot of work to do. But we can't sit back and say, well, we don't like this and we don't like that. We got to start from somewhere.
We've got to start from somewhere. And I'm seeing, I'm crying loud and as loud as possible. We can start from flying from Lagos to Accra. We can start from flying from Lagos to Johannesburg without sweat, without paying the international rate that is far above Lagos, London to New York.
So the numbers are very funny.
Very annoying.
Lagos to Dakar.
Yes.
Economy is $1,000.
Can you imagine?
Lagos to London, which is about the same 5 hours, sometimes you can get it for $300-400.
Why?
Why? Why is because we are still not totally together. And I want to plug ECOWAS.
Yes.
Because I understand ECOWAS I've removed this taxing now, but I can't tell you I know the effect of that on the numbers yet. But what happens is this. The things that I'll take EU as an example.
Yeah.
The integration that EU has done for itself are the things that are not being encouraged for us to do within ourselves. So to go from Dakar to Kenya today, you probably have, 8-10 countries between.
Yeah.
You have to do paperwork for each country.
Yeah, but why? Isn't that the problem of AU? Why shouldn't the AU discuss it and say, from now on, member countries should reconsider their positions?
Correct. And those are the things that we call.
And the regional stations.
Those are what we are talking under regional integration. So ECOWAS has done its own, Again, I have not put it to test. Okay?
Right.
But EAC has its own, SADC has its own. But as a continent, we need to put it all together, whereby
Europe is
we become
driving
one and we move back and
train
forth.
service in Europe, driving straight
By road.
By road, you know. Why can't we do it when
It's
Europe
important
can do it?
for us to move away from where we are. I mean, today, Africa is still 15% inter-Africa trade.
Can
You go to Europe, they are almost hitting 70%. You go to Asia, they're almost at 40%. The Americas are over 30. Why are we stuck at 15%? And if we don't do these things, if we don't take the power of our diaspora and leverage of our people globally, our children are out there leading corporations in so many ways.
Yeah,
If we don't
they are
leverage,
being used.
they are used. If you don't leverage of them, if we don't do regional integration, if we don't encourage tourism, because with tourism, you can come into my village and say, oh, wow, your people look like me, you eat like me, you act like me. The interest you would develop in coming to my village, while you're there, you may realize, oh, why am I buying bottled water from London? The same water I'm buying from London is actually is in Yinka's village. Then you can shop.
And there are springs everywhere. In fact, in Nigeria alone, I hear there are springs. That's where you have the natural fresh
springs,
water.
correct.
You know, all over the place.
Plenty of them. Ikogosi and all of them.
Ikogosi is even hot and warm spring.
Hot and warm spring.
Which is a tourism attraction.
On its own. Taraba as a state is I mean, you can get all weather, all vegetation, all topography, or, I mean, we are very blessed. But are we using all those things that we have in our hand?
Can't we get the people in charge, policymakers, politicians, people in government, people in corporate organizations, can't they say we can trigger this and move this? Honestly.
Very well, very true. That's why we are doing what we are doing. So going around and, like I said, we've done Zanzibar 2022, Arusha, Tanzania 2023, Kisumu, Kenya 2024, Ghana 2025.
Beautiful.
2026, we're going to go back to Senegal last week of October to do 60 years of Leopold Senghor and the first Festac. And we are building.
Now we're looking at every year.
Every year. Every year. And the reason is this. Somebody once asked me, why do you think something that was handled by states before and was 2 to 4 years, why does it need to be every year? And this is where my engineering comes in. Mm-hmm. When the pendulum swings and it's on this side too long, you need to take it on this other side far before it settles in the middle.
So they can start appreciating.
So you need to do it as much as possible until we come into equilibrium. And so we need more of things to bring us together. So we want to do 2026 in Senegal and then bring 2027 back home to Nigeria to now celebrate and relive 1977.
At this stage, I'm going to have to go on break because the brain is hot. That's why I didn't wear my cap today, because I knew who I was coming to deal with. We'll be right back after the break. So this is Soni Irabor Live. We're on the last stage of the program, and I have Engineer Yinka Abioye, who has traversed many countries. He's been everything from engineering to culturist. Is that a correct word?
It's okay.
But anyway, the last segment, let's look at how do governments and organizations get themselves involved? Because this is the people-oriented issue. Culture, agriculture, food, fashion, everything. The people of Africa own the natural resources. The people of Africa own the money that are being pocketed by the individuals who put them there. So, for goodness sake, let them leave a legacy, at least. What's your advice?
I totally agree with you. One of the things we've done, and I'm going to talk since I am in Nigeria and having this interview in Nigeria, and that's why we made the conscious effort to approach all the governments, the national governments in all the countries we go to. And we also write to every African government to send a representative of their nation into the event. Because if you send 5, 10, 15 of your people to come with your flag, to come with your dance, to come with your food, to come with your fashion, to come with the tourism of your country, it will entice other people to join.
And it will be a process of earning for your country.
And it's also earning, because not only that, it educates people, because some of us are trying to buy items today that you don't even know. You are buying something that you don't even know is manufactured in Cameroon. And you are going to...
That's another problem.
And you are going to Australia to buy it.
To buy it.
And it's right there in Cameroon because you don't know it's there. I mean, so those are the reasons why you want to bring people together. So we do need them to get involved. We do need them to vote funds for the project. We are very open to working with any government to integrate into what integrate themselves into what we are doing. This is not about a show of a group of people or an organization that are trying to get the stripes for doing it. Africa's position and Africa issue to be better is everybody's responsibility. It's my Africa, it's your Africa, it's our Africa. So we all need to come together. The same thing goes to corporations. We need corporate sponsorship. We need them to get involved in what we are doing. And majority of us in the organization are also at corporate background. So we don't have, beyond CSRs, we don't mind organizations coming in and riding on our back to even increase their businesses, to even take their business to other parts of the continent and the diaspora. It's okay. Because when you do that, the continent gains. So we need sponsorship from government, sponsorship from various organizations, as well as corporates.
It's something you were saying that brought to mind, the issue of creativity, manufacturing, and things like that. Let's look at car manufacturing. I was surprised when Burkina Faso said they now have electric cars.
Correct.
Zambia, or is it Zimbabwe, I think?
Zimbabwe.
Has electric cars.
Correct.
Manufactured or created or invented by an African. That goes a long way. Why are we not maximizing on that kind of, opportunity?
So what you hear is assembling. Okay? It's assembling.
Oh.
So it's assembling, which is okay. Because if you assemble...
So you mean they were not invented?
No. The one in Zimbabwe was an engineering, was a engineering design.
Okay.
But you still need, we don't have a lot of these parts on our continent.
It's assembled.
But we need to assemble. First of all, we cannot be importing finished product into Africa.
Yes.
We cannot be exporting raw materials unprocessed out of Africa.
50 years ago, even between 40 and 50 years ago, we had CKD,
Correct.
completely knocked down vehicles.
Correct.
That were manufactured
Correct.
and assembled in Nigeria.
The Peugeots, the Renaults. I mean, we had a lot of
Volkswagen.
brands. Volkswagen. We had all the brands here. Okay? So
Brazil is doing that even now.
Brazil is even doing it in aviation. In aircraft.
Yes.
So it can be done. But I also heard there's a Dangote doing something again with Peugeot.
Oh, that's nice.
They're trying to revamp the Peugeot assembly plant. So those things need to happen.
Good.
It's basic. Let's not even get too technical into what it is. It's just basic things. We should not be exporting raw materials just the way they are.
We should be manufacturing and creating our own finished
processing to the point where we could no longer process before we export anything. And in most cases...
No, let's say that again. That means raw materials from our soil.
From our soil.
We process it.
We process. There are sometimes where you can finish it all the way.
Yeah, okay.
Because of the equipment,
so the expertise
because of the technology or expertise.
Yeah.
So, but the first processing needs to happen here. And we need to also be sure that processing is not just to dump the chemicals here. The pre-wash. We have to make sure it's not being done just to do the dirty side of it.
And then make us look like the bad guys.
And then we become the bad guys. So that needs to happen. Also, when we want to import, We do not need to import finished product. There's no reason for that. When you travel the West, when you travel different countries, it's our children, it's the African children that are leaders in a lot of these industries in a foreign country. So we should be able to come home, and implement those things. So it is critical that we sure that raw materials are not leaving the continent unprocessed. We are blessed.
Okay. All right, I was being talked to. I didn't exactly hear what they said. If they can repeat what they said, it's a live show. Yes. We're going on a short break, and we'll be right back. We know what we are. Don't worry. Thank you. Welcome back. And yes, we had a slight hitch, slight technical problem, and it was sorted out. Very good. Now, the question remains, how do we move forward?
I'm just going to narrow down because we had time.
We're running off, yes.
So I'm going to wrap it up to Nigeria, because Nigeria is the 77, the big one that we need to repeat. So I'm calling on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, CFR, calling on the Ministry of Culture, calling on the Ministry of Trade, calling on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and all our other ministries and all our 36 state governors to work with us in putting together an environment that presents something similar to 1977 again. An environment where each state will come with its own cultural group, take its own booths to promote what mining comes into their area, what agriculture, what their food looks like, what their fashion looks like, and what the people look like. Because we have nothing short of being proud of what we have. So that's number one.
What if Nigeria hosts Africa again?
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. But to get it done, we need everybody I'm mentioning intentionally to get everybody's hands in it. We also need corporations to come in, to be the brand ambassadors for making this continent a better place. The festival will gather more people, more exposure. It will further put the continent out there. So any brand that rides on that platform also will get a whole lot of value out of it in participating in the festival.
Okay, as we round off, I'd just like to say a few things, a few words, and I need you to end it all up. The war in Iran between America, Israel, and Iran is destroying, and UNICEF has been very disturbed, because it's destroying natural heritage that started with the Persian Empire, which is a historical, when you bomb, you destroy, you just destroy things, and Africa cannot afford to have that. We've had lots and lots of that unfortunate situation, and I think we should not continue to be like that. Now, Festac Africa, let me know. Yes, right. Festac Africa, corporate entities, governments of Africa. I think this is when they not only wake up, they should come to leave some legacy behind. I would have loved to have President Obasanjo on this issue of Festac.
Maybe we can make a call to Baba and have
yes,
him come.
please.
He's still very passionate about it.
I would like to visit him in Ota, wherever he is, or in Abeokuta. Record him with my crew, if we will grant it. But having said that, what's your last word?
Well, I think a lot of our fathers and mothers are doing a lot of things. I mean, Professor Wole Soyinka is planning on the Heritage Voyage Return.
Heritage Voyage Return, okay.
We don't have enough time to go into it, but people are doing different things on the continent to move the continent forward. So you touch on something I don't want to just let it go. This war.
Yeah.
This war is a lesson to us. Wars are not good. Wars, we don't know what end of war will look like. Wars needed to be avoided. There's no need for war. There are things that we can do to avoid wars, and we need to continue to do that. There needs to be dialogue. There needs to be efforts to avoid war, because there are people that will incite people to war. And we saw what is happening in Iran today. War started, all these people that were out there making all the noise, a lot of them are being bombed and killed now. We've had over almost 2,000 people killed in Iran so far. People that have nothing to do with what has happened.
Yes.
So we don't need that. To avoid that also is where something like Festac Africa comes into play. Because the more integration we have, the more we understand one another better. The one that if we have any disparity or any distances between us, using the platform of art and culture can bring us together, embrace one another, and have a better continent. Regional integration, travel, tourism, trade, and we'll all be better.
Simplified travel.
Simplified travel. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being part of this beautiful talk that, when I say talk, I mean serious conversation.
Thank you.
And we all must take into consideration. And so, leaders of Africa, this is where we talk to you. You have a responsibility. Leave a legacy, and we thank you for it. Thank you all for watching Soni Irabor Live. Well, another week, we'll be discussing something very topical and very serious. Just watch. Bye-bye now.